Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Thank you and good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity to comment on the resolution proposing a state constitutional amendment concerning discrimination on the basis of sex under the Equal Protection Clause, Senate Joint Resolution number 35. I speak to you today as the pastor of one of Connecticut's historic churches, established by this assembly first as an ecclesiastical society in 1659, then organized as a church in 1670, and continually meeting for the worship of God in Woodbury since that time. I speak against this proposed amendment to the state constitution because it would change the legal definition of discrimination on the basis of sex from the natural and well understood categories of male and female to a definition based on intent or effect. To put it simply, sex is something one is born with, one is fully male or female at birth, and subsequent decisions by individuals to initiate or terminate a pregnancy, to identify with or express his sexual orientation or gender identity, do not in any way alter the fundamental category of sex, which is and always will remain defined by male or female. Genesis chapter 1, verse 27 says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them." Sex is a category created by God and confirmed by nature and science. Any law that changes the definition of sex from one rooted in hard reality to one based on soft psychology and feelings will undermine the very protection it seeks to enshrine. I am concerned for the impact this will have on the Christian churches, schools, and families of Connecticut. I am concerned that the right to express one's sexual orientation or gender identity will become a requirement to accept these expressions of orientation or identity forced upon others. For instance, the sixth commandment is, "You shall not murder." Not only do we Christians believe, but as a pastor, I must also preach and teach that abortion is murder. If this amendment passes, the basic teachings of the historic churches of Connecticut will be condemned as discriminatory. Will I, as a pastor, be guilty of discrimination on the basis of sex if it is my intent when counseling a pregnant woman to see her avoid the effect of killing her unborn child? Will the members of my congregation be subject to prosecution for opposing abortion, same-sex marriage, and gender ideology? Many will no doubt assure me that the free exercise of religion and freedom of speech are protected by the First Amendment, but if this amendment passes, you will have introduced a constitutional ambiguity, which I fully expect the enemies of religion to exploit. If this amendment passes, I fear that the effect on the witness and work of the church in Connecticut will be chilling. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions from the committee? Senator Sampson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Pastor, for being here. I would just want to thank you for bringing up a major concern about this legislation, which is the conflict between the rights that it proposes to protect and rights that are already natural and protected by our U.S. and state constitutions, including the right to religious freedom and expression. And you did that so eloquently, I don't need to ask you another word about it, but I wanted to thank you for at least bringing that up, because it has not been addressed today, and it needs to be as part of this conversation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Further questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you for being with us and contributing your testimony. Next up is Michael